Hit the thing. Check one. All right. Peace. This is the Ash Oldhead podcast with Justice Rajee. I'm here with my guest, Divine Zaid. Peace.
Peace.
How you doing this morning, guys?
I'm doing great, guy. Yourself?
I'm awesome. I'm happy to be here. It's a pleasure to be here. So we can start with it. Can you give, before we get going with the questions, actually, does anybody just want to give some props or reverence, respect to before we get into our conversation?
I want to give respect to my family. We had a good morning this morning. Got up. All three of my boys, Zakir, Nepaj, and Azir, got out the door, off to school, nice and safe. My Earth, she got to work safely. I naturally reflect. So shout out to my family. That's where I start at.
That's peace. I got, actually was walking in here, sending messages to my kids because they are on the West Coast.
Family first.
You know what I mean? Like everybody up. Everybody get up on because it's still early there. Yeah. So that's peace. So we'll just get into it. Can you give me a practice or a standard, something that you hold yourself to and how you move through the world?
Fundamentally, I go right back to what brought me into knowledge itself was being able to redefine myself or define myself and find who I truly was. And in my name, which is Divine Universal Law, I really key into the universal part and being universal with everybody and everything that I deal with, and being able to see both sides gives me a better understanding of situations, of people. So always go back to any situation, and a standard I hold myself is to see things universally and be universal with everything in every situation that I deal with.
All right. Are there any particular habits that you've developed that help you to maintain that discipline of having because it sounds like you keep a perspective where you can have your view, hear other views, and then try to reason out what makes the most sense. Is there any particular tactics or practices that you do to keep that up?
The one thing definitely is focusing on being your true self and being truly who you are, so that your truth is really the truth that you know, and that's what you could definitely stand on. So being able to have that as this is who I am and I am comfortable with who I am, I can deal universally because I'm not looking to take on anybody else's perspective. I'm not looking to take on anybody else's history. I know mine and I know my perspective, and I'm open to see what others are. And that gives me the ability to work with a lot of people, advance professionally, do things, personally that, I like to do or want to do. And, being universal allows me to do it naturally and purely. It's never forced, anything like that. So, a lot of great benefits in my life have come from just walking that path and staying true to myself and being true and taking other people's truth as what they present to me.
All right, peace. Thank you. And I think that is, the importance of having comfortability with who you are and where at any given time, I think is often a challenge. Is there any particular experiences that help you get a deeper understanding of that, or that you think?
Definitely, throughout my lifetime, a lot of things have got me to really understand and see the value in that perspective. Growing up, people that know me now see me, whatever Instagram and things, the way I dress and fresh, and I know a lot of celebrities and people I be around and have a lot of, a large network to work with. It wasn't always like that. I grew up a very reserved, very pious, very orthodox Muslim, straightforward young man. Kept to myself, had glasses, I was very nerdy. So that wasn't always my lifestyle, but that allowed me to really find my true self. I never hid that from anybody. That's who I was. I still dressed fresh back in the day, you know what I'm saying? I had the Lottos and I had the Leases, and I knew what I was doing, but, I didn't have, the freedom financially to be able to really express myself that way. So I still was conforming to who I was, which was, within the means I had, really not conforming. But from that got me to where, it is what it is, and I am who I am. I have a very different name, always had a different name, whatever name that I choose to go by. It was always different, and it was always different perspectives that people brought to me. So I was allowed to see how people change situationally. You know what I mean? And I didn't change situationally because I really couldn't. I was who I was. I couldn't hide that. You know what I mean? So that was that understanding of just growing up that way. Parents were very, Pan-African, militant. I'm not hiding from it. That's who I was, and that's what brought me into other angles, other perspectives. Brought me to knowledge of self, which helped, really, really express that and understand truly what it is for myself. And it's definitely growth and development within that, as we both know. You come in early and you have one way you see things, and as you grow, you start to see them, with new perspectives and new eyes. But having the order of Supreme Mathematics allowed me to really, really put things in the right place, because I already knew where the places were, but I just mastered the order at that point, or saw the order and was allowed to get to a mastery level within my own self, because that's where the mastery comes from. So, growing up in a different, lifestyle, different family, at the time in the early 80s, time like that, and then also coming into the knowledge of self, those were really two poignant, moments in my life.
Peace. So, second question. Relationships broadly defined. Is there something that you do differently now or you do now that you would have done differently as a younger man? And that's work, relationships, love, family, whatever.
Definitely. Relationships is it's a learning experience. Everybody doesn't know how to deal with everybody or every person or every type. I mean, being a parent and having a relationship with your child, that's brand new to everybody that does it the first or second or third. It's always a new situation. So that in itself is what really opened up my perspective on relationships, is having a son, and the relationships aren't surface anymore. You know what I mean? Whereas the relationship with his mother is now this is a bonded relationship now for life. You know what I mean? And I have to work it out the best way possible if I want to see the best results. Same with my son. This is a bonded relationship. This is for life. This is somebody that I have to grow and develop, and as well as with him, and watch him grow and develop as well as me. So that's one of the key things, is having a son and understanding that he's his own person. So as I see that with him, I definitely extend that to everybody, which is something that I already was growing to from, my earlier standards stated, is dealing with people with as they are and who they are, and seeing the truth in them. And that's what keeps my relationships with people genuine, what I mean? Whereas I know a lot of people, and I'm honored that I know them genuinely. I don't just know them on the surface of just a name or something like that. We have history, and if we don't have direct history, we have other history that we could definitely relate to and see, and that we got a commonality, and that's what I look for, in relationships.
Yeah, definitely. I think you brought up the relationship with your kids, and my kids are 16 and 12 now, and you realize they have their own personalities and their own sense of who they are, and you can try to just shoehorn them in whatever you want, but at some point you realize, like, all right, we have to figure out what motivates you different than her, and what motivates you different than him, and those sort of sciences.
You definitely gotta leave the room for them to explore and find out, because that's what I got to do, and that's what brought me to my understanding. And it's like I gotta extend that way as well as to everybody else.
Yeah, I feel like you set a foundation, and then you give space. Let them figure it out. Third question: What's just something that's really important for you right now in your world or in your life, your work, whatever, what have you?
Important right now is leaving a legacy. That's really what it is, and nothing that's like my name written in lights nowhere. Not that type of lofty aspirations, but leaving something in this world, in the world at least, that I could touch and be a part of and affect, that lasts, beyond my name, beyond me doing it. That's really what it is. Be it my family, and my family is that legacy, then I'm already on that way. But making sure that it's actually something that is, contributing to the overall growth of any world that we're a part of, be it the neighborhood I live in, be it the city I live in, be it the community of creators or people in the industry I work in. is leaving a legacy that lasts beyond. I see a lot of people come and go in things. You know what I mean? A lot on everything. That's just out of the sheer numbers of people come and go. And there's some people that come to whatever an industry of to say what I do is work in the apparel industry, marketing, and it's a bright star, and then it fades, and people forget, and that's not what I want to. I don't want to be forgotten.
Indeed. Indeed. Is there any particular hooks or things that you think are important in terms of the way people frame apparel? Like something, I don't know, what's the idea I'm looking for here? It's sort of like kind of anchor concepts that you find to help you to be successful in sort of designing or putting pieces together, because you do a lot of stuff. I see some you do some layers and some colors. I'm like, all right, man, you out here turning up the heat on everybody. Indeed. Like what do you think are some of the things that help you with your vision when it comes to that?
I like to stay consistent in everything I do. So even with what I built up, or what drives me is seeing things universal, is having an understanding of clothing and how people wear clothes, and that's pretty much where it really comes from. Things can be trendy, things can be forever lasting, but for the most part, we wear tops, bottoms, shoes, and a hat, and pretty much it's how the customer or the consumer wears it, and understanding that allows me to be able to reach them in a more genuine way, and that's able to make me more of a better salesman, a better merchandiser, a better visual merchandiser, better with marketing and understanding what the consumer wants to see. Not in a sense of I want to show you the razzle and dazzle, but I know what a man of a certain size, of a certain type of background or a certain perspective on life, I know how he wants to wear his clothes. I know how he wants to view himself. So I know what kind of apparel to offer or to put in front of him so that they can see it. And that's really just dealing with the people as they are. That's the main thing. Like
is there anything you could share just about how you go about sort of leading people? I mean, what is it? There's just a nugget that you try to be a part of the way that you work with and like managing, working with other people.
Definitely consistency with the follow through. To put it all in one word is really I lead by example, and through that example is my consistency to follow through, to show my employees that to get to whatever level you want to get to. In particular, if you want to get to mine or better, is for me to show them what it takes. And the more that I ingrain consistency, always following up, bringing your best to the table to my employees is one of the best things, because my pride with work is watching somebody that I hired or that I trained move on. I have at least I have many employees that have worked for me that they're above me on levels. Wherever they went to, they sit above me, but I don't feel like they took my spot. Like, no, I trained them so they could get to that spot, and they did it through being consistent and being true to who they are, and following the standards that we've been speaking about this whole time. So I make sure to really, really bring that to my team and with whoever I work for. So it's really lead by example. I don't do the point and click. I'll get in there, I get my hands dirty. If I want to show them something, I'm going to show you the first time and how to get it done, and this is how to do it, and then follow up from there.
Indeed. Peace. So what's up, man? So we're in Philadelphia. This is your home.
Yes, sir.
As I tell people, I grew up in New Jersey, across the water. This is my adopted region, though. This is a place that, in terms of cultural references, you know what I'm saying?
You absorb in the Jersey folks.
Yeah, I got a lot of love for everybody. I'm not an Eagles fan, but I understand. It's all good.
It's all good.
I got
it's all good.
Just how are things in the city, man? Like how is Philly right now?
Philly's an interesting town right now. It's going through what I'm sure a lot of urban areas are going through. In particular, it's one of the biggest cities that's seeing a lot of the fast transformation of the city, and to really bring it into up to date with what the world class cities are. And with that, bringing it up to date is a lot of development, a lot of new faces, a lot of new atmosphere, a lot of new attitude, a lot of it's a lot of new that's happening in Philly right now. It's seeing that meld of how the old of what the city is, how much of that can survive. What's happening right now, and I'm sure, like I said, that's happening in many cities across the nation as things change. What you endeared, loved, the Philly John. Now it's a colloquial, funny thing to say. That you know what I mean.
Oh,
so that
man.
even something as simple as just our slang is now, the national joke, and it's like, great, thanks. Like,
appreciate y'all. Like,
appreciate taking what we had that was ours, and now it's
like
gave it
other
up.
people
But
trying to have say it.
that's just an aspect of it. Whereas Philly is definitely a growing town. It's a lot of influence from other East Coast cities starting to come in, and it's pretty competitive across the board as far as be it real estate, be it culture, be it the music.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see what's going on.
All right. So I only got like maybe one or two more questions that we better roll out.
All good, man. I'm
Hang loose.
I just got comfortable.
Word up. Then let's keep it rolling. So is there, I know you've been involved and you've been in the apparel and the fashion business for a long time. Are there any pieces of the work that you would want to someone that either a younger person or older person, whatever type of person that was maybe trying to get into the business? Is there any like tips that you would want to share with them or get them, in terms of a place to start?
Definitely, if you want to get into the fashion or apparel industry, it's pretty much like start wherever you can get in. I'll tell one story of just an example of I was working for a company, and I had to resign from the company. Company kind of shifted gears on me and was going a different direction than what I was doing for them, and fundamentally they let me go, but I wasn't fired. I always make sure people know I was not fired. I was let go. I had a severance package and everything. So, I'm out looking for another job, and I went to an interview at one place, and I sat for the interview, and I have a good amount of experience, and I knew that place wasn't going to hire me, mainly because I was probably overexperienced for the position I was applying for. The person that was interviewing me, I knew I should be your boss, and they knew it. So I knew
this is not gonna work out.
This ain't gonna work out. It was, this is good practice, but whatever. So I walk out of there, and there was a sign in another store that said, hiring now for a store manager, and that's what I was applying to the other place for. And actually, the other place I was applying for assistant manager at that time. And I walked past the window, and I thought about it, and I was literally, looking at my whatever, about to catch the bus, get out of there, go home. Figure out what I was going to do the next move. And I thought about it, and I walked in the store. I pulled the sign off the window, and I walked up to the counter, and I said, y'all ain't going to need this no more. You can throw this in the trash. And they looked at me like, what the fuck? Who the hell is this dude? And I'm like, get your manager. And she came out, and I said the same thing. She's like, what they talking about? I'm like, listen, you could throw this in the trash because I'm here.
Right. I'm ready.
I was hired on the spot. She gave me keys that day. She asked me, it happened to be a situation, she was like, yeah, I got promoted. And I was supposed to hire somebody 2 weeks ago, but she couldn't find nobody. And she had to start her new position then like 2 days, and it was out of town.
Wow.
She had to move and everything.
So
she asked me, she said, can you start tonight? I will train you on everything tonight. It was like 3:00. I'm like, all right, let me go home real quick, get my stuff together, and I'll be back as long as all the paperwork. And she's like, I got you. Everything will be cool. You'll be paid. We'll start now. And I walked in and got that job that way. And I use that story of don't let nothing hold you back. And if you want to do something, like particularly in this industry is not a education industry. You know what I mean? It's not, you have to have a certain educational background to be successful in it. I know people that are chemistry majors that have chemistry degrees that work in this industry. They don't use, you know what I mean, that degree for nothing. But this is what they wanted to do. They have an interest. They have a creative mind, and that's what it really takes. And it takes also a certain commitment of that's what you want to do, then do it. I always tell people, I do a lot of hiring, or people ask, how to get a job, things like that. So I'm like, go into place and start working. Mm-hmm. Trust me, they'll notice you. The manager's gonna walk up to you after a while and say, "Excuse me, I'm not paying you. You can continue what you're doing. If you sweeping the floor, go ahead, sweep the floor. Just letting you know that we ain't paying you right now. Right. Trust me, the conversation will continue. You know what I mean? And it's really having a proactiveness, especially in this type industry, because it's not based on your education. It's based on what you're doing, what you're bringing to the table. So,
yeah, I think you brought up something there that is significant around kind of seizing the moment. And preparing yourself. So, if you can't prepare yourself for that, but having that level of confidence where you go, all right, I'm just gonna ask for the business right now. Like
pretty much, yeah. And that's take it back to being true to yourself and be who you are, and not pretending and trying to present what you think people want to see.
Indeed.
You know what I mean? You never know. Give them something different, you know what I mean? And not fake different, but you're the different, you know what I mean? And what you purely are is the value of what you bring to the table. You know?
That honesty about how you move through the world.
True indeed.
If you loud, some people just loud. Be loud.
They just are. Yeah.
don't talk like this. Yeah. And then we get you come in the first day and it's we like, hold up, man.
Yeah.
We didn't know we was getting a loud person. We might be able to deal with it, but this is a nursing home. Like, now you're getting all loud with people that need quiet. Like, be who you are when you come in the door.
True indeed.
Has there been, with the work, is there ever, what do you think is something challenging that folks outside the business just maybe wouldn't know about, just because they wouldn't have there's a particular aspect about the work that's
people see clothes and they think it's a ton of money going around. It's not. Margins are very slim. It takes a lot to run a business. People, weird, I could do that. I could just rent a space and open a store, and you can, and more power to you, but have a plan, because everything costs money. Once you go into business, everything costs money. Even things that may appear to be free now, eventually there's a cost attached to it. You know what I mean? And that's really one of the main things. I'm fortunate that I work for companies, but I've also had my own, and I understand that the logistics are the same, and it's really making sure you tight with the back end. You know what I mean? That's really where it comes to, because I know these brothers. Shout out God is Dope down Atlanta. I came across them young brothers when I was down there doing some work, and they had a nice shop, moving goods, mostly over the phone, shipping it out. They had a nice base product. It looked good. It was clean, and he put all his marketing. You know what I mean? All his marketing is around that theme, and he was pumping it out. He wasn't just a T-shirt company. He was pushing a brand, and that's really where it comes to is make your mark as a brand and push that, because if you want to just be a retailer, it's a tough space. You know what I mean? But if you can always be a brand. I tell people that come to me for that type of advice, which I do on the side, Manifesto Consulting Group. People that come to me for that type of advice is like, why do you want to make a bunch of different T-shirts and make one good T-shirt, one good hat, one good jacket, or whatever you do, and pump that. You know what I mean? Until that hits, you can make variations of that, but stick with that one thing, because that's how you brand yourself. Otherwise, anybody could print T-shirts, and I could go on the app and have a T-shirt company popping right now. You know what I mean? But put the emphasis on branding, and you take it that much further. Distinguish yourself. So.
My current endeavor and experience with the shirt I've been making, that's I'm thinking about it for a while, but it started this summer, and I had a conversation with somebody like, oh, you got like a bunch of shirts at the house. I'm like, nah, if I bought $300 worth of shirts and was at my house with them, I gotta go to the post office. I can't do that. I need to set up a system, and then I need to figure out if people like it, and then I need to figure people get the concept, and then I need to build, the other stuff around it that attracts people to it, and have, a plan, as I like to say.
Indeed.
And I find that sometimes folks, they got an idea, but they don't got a plan.
Indeed.
You know what I mean? They're like, this idea is cool. Oh, that's a cool idea. What you gonna do with it?
Yeah, people
That's all I got.
don't value the value of pen to paper and just writing it down.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that in some conversations with folks, be it peers or younger or whomever, that just haven't really taken it to task to really write out a business plan or just a plan. I think I'm not sure. I have to even say I'm not even sure on the. I think it's either the business part that deters people, or it could be the plan word in itself. You know what I'm saying? That deters people. Of you have a plan, and they like, damn, I got to plan something. And it's like, well, you planned to wake up in the morning yesterday, so it shouldn't be too. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. You can make plans, but when you start putting it on paper, and what I find is, then you're able to see it. And then you can see the gaps, and you can see the advantages, and you can see certain parts that you're like, okay, I have some opportunity here between here and there to do some other things, or to expand on this or expand on that. And it's like, that's the value of writing it down, because we are visual beings. You know what I mean? Like our eyes, that's like literally 70% of our experience in the world. You know what I mean? Of what we see. Your taste is relevant, hearing, all of that. Somebody that's seeing impaired, that's a major setback compared to somebody that can't hear. You know what I mean? So, and not comparing either one, but just our experience in this world is based on sight, mostly. And it's like, you can mind it up. You know what I mean? You can draw it up. You could in your head as much as you want, but until you put it on paper, now it's actual. Yeah. You did something physical with it, even if you ain't start the plan yet. You pulled it out of your head and put it on a little piece of paper. That's step one. You know what I'm saying? And you'll never do that, then it's good luck, man.
Yeah, I think I know when way back when we did the shirts, we used to do the fundamental source joints. We used to do way back. We was in the crib and we was like, well, we need, we can do a shirt. And so we started having conversations and we writing in notebooks and stuff. You know what I mean? But then it was like, okay, what would it take? What, like, we got an idea. We think it's a good one. I think, our community will respond, to this. The mechanics were a lot different at that time in terms of, like, we got all these tools now where you can do you can run all kinds of stuff and not have any manufacturing facilities or nothing. All you got is,
Back then, you literally had to print.
You had to go find a printer. You had to figure out, like,
physical part of that process.
Can I get the screen if I got to go to another printer? Like, all that kind of deal. But then you find out, do you have a product? You know what I mean? It's something that a couple folks that I've met in the last couple of years, and if you're familiar with Art of the Start, one of the first things there is, like, do you have a product? Like, before you run off and, like, get a business license, get this, get that. Do you have something that has an attraction power, right? You know what I'm saying? And I often find, I think sometimes with folks, when you say, like, oh, start a business, they think, I got to get a lawyer, I got to do this, I got to do that. And it's like, no, do you got a product? You know what I'm saying?
Build that up first.
Yeah.
All of that stuff will come in as you need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, but as long as you got execution to it, like I said, those things will come about.
Indeed. Is in terms of your work, is there any particular, like, links or just a nugget? Because, again, don't give up the goat. But is there any particular is there a nugget you could share around, like, that you would give someone that was starting something new in terms of, like, just a nugget of advice?
Really, it's relationships. Relationships is everything. Is who you know and what you built with that person. I know I have examples that I see, either been a part of, but also, like I said, I've been in the industry like this for a while, and I've had a lot of people work for me in this region, and that have gone on to do things like open their own stores and things like that. And I even know somebody would look at them, oh, he doing it, or he got lucky, or whatever, or he was this and that. And I'm like, nah, you ain't see the work that he put in, and that one person that walked in the door that everybody else ignored, but he went out of his way to get that dude proper service and show this dude exactly who he was, and that's his investor years later. You know what I mean? He built this relationship, and years later he has somebody that's willing to invest and open a store with him and support his vision and whatnot. And I've seen that multiple times, and it's really relationships. You could wait to hit the lottery, you could wait to save up $150,000 and start something, or you could know the right people that can help you and will support you in what you're doing. And just like you said, once you created a product that's worth doing something, we in the worst civilization in America. This is the capitalist mall of the world. You know what I mean? If you're not participating, you're being used. So it's either get in or stay a guppy. You know what I mean? And if you want to elevate yourself, it's like, all right, make a product, because that's what this society is about. It's a consumer based. You make a product, somebody gonna want it. You gotta find where they at. They out here, it's millions, billions at this point. So, especially with, like you said, things are different when we was growing up. I remember we used to rap and make CDs, and we was putting labels on the joints, and you know what I'm saying? We really made the CD. Right, so you be like, damn, you only had 50? Like, well, I only can make 50 right now.
I only have a double disc on my computer. I got to do one. I used to do them for us one at a time. Like,
press it on, and then we got to print the label and print the top of the photo joint and all that. I got to wait for the graphic dude to. We ain't have Photoshop until later in the game. You know what I mean? So,
man,
dealing with art.
Man, our first things was real tapes. Like tapes, because it was cheaper to go to the tape man than the CD dude.
Exactly. Like, the CD dudes is brand new. That was new shit. Like,
oh man, you gonna get a CD? Oh man.
So I'm like, now everything is exponentially faster, easier there at the touch of your finger. It's like kind of like no excuses. You know what I mean? Kind of leads me to just circling back, just conversationally. We open on how I said, like, the city's changing and it's opportunity, and it's unfortunate that certain communities, aren't being taught how to take advantage of the opportunities, and more so are looking at more talking about it, or being disgusted, or being angered, or being disenfranchised about these but not seeing them as their opportunities. You know what I mean? If your land values, if somebody's coming buying your land, you should be benefiting. And if you don't have any land, get some. You know what I'm saying? But get some. You know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do and get some. You know what I mean? And I'm not speaking from a lofty standpoint. I'm on the same note. I got to get some. You know what I mean? And that's on all levels of. It's no excuses in this world, because it might not have been set up for you and I to take the most benefits, but it was set up without many rules, so anybody could take a part of these benefits. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you can jump in there. You just gotta figure out what the hoops is. And I think that is I was in a meeting, and a concept that came up that was shared with us was around, despite all this tech and that's going on, those that can merge the space between the human connection and the tools and the technology stuff that's going on, will still have an opportunity to be successful. Because the human connection still matters. Like, and we're relationship based people. You know what I mean? Like, you got to make a connection, and so you develop your people skills, develop your ability to network, and then attach it to whatever other stuff that you might be doing, and you're gonna find a lane. You know what I mean? I think it's out there. Whew. So I got one more question. You ain't see this one coming. So over the years, I've bear witness to your Air Force. Your Air Max operations. I don't know how many you got, but every once in a while you pop out with, I don't know what your secret is. I don't know who your inside man. Don't give it up.
The plug.
Who your plug is. But I'm just I'm a fan of your Air Max side. Is there, do you got a particular pair or a couple that are your favorites, or?
I definitely have a couple that are my favorites. Most of them would be the Atmos collabs that came out with Atmos over in Japan. So I got a couple of those. I got a couple that like are in storage. I don't even wear them because I got doubles that I wear, and then I got the other one that I for 10 years from now when I want to break it out on the young boys and let them know.
Yeah.
But a lot of the Air Maxes, just like I said, I'll put stuff in storage. Whereas I have other sneakers, but Air Max is more my passion. Like, I'm not going to front. Like, I'm in the industry. I'm connected. I get a lot of product. People send me things that they want me to wear it and be seen, and people I'll be around to get seen. So, but I'll say all my Air Maxes I buy at retail, or I have eBay, or I go out my way to buy Air Maxes because that's my like collector thing.
That's your joint.
And so I have them like the ones I have on now. These are probably like 12 years old, so I'll keep them for a very long time because that's my favorite one, so I'm collecting them. So
take care of them.
I'll break out stuff from 10 years ago, and people, dang, I ain't never seen them. Like, well, I done waited till you forgot, you know what I mean, that they was even out back then, and then I'm bringing them back. So I appreciate, people bearing witness.
Man, I'll be like, man, he's killing it right now. Damn.
Yeah, Air Maxes was just one of them, like one of my favorite. The silhouette of the shoe, comfort, and I'm a thin guy. If you can't, it probably doesn't. I probably sound huge on the podcast. Sound like a big dude, but I'm not. I'm a pretty slight frame guy. So like the Air Max is a thin shoe. So I got a thin foot. You know what I mean? It was that joint.
It comes together. Right up. So we getting close to where we tap out on it. So I like to do my current question to close out. I always ask is there, can you just give me maybe movies or music, something that looking at it now you see it differently than when maybe you first heard it or watched it 15, 20 years ago, or when you were a younger man?
I'll probably say it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff I could look to on that note. But I'll definitely say I've never really been a big movie buff. Okay. Like I'm well aware of movies. I've watched movies. Like you know what I mean? But
it's not like
not too crazy over the top about music. Definitely, what I mean, hard into music. And one of the things I'll say is looking back on it is a lot of the I don't know how many millennials listen to your show, but
I'm working on it.
I might go back past what they remember, but back in the day, things like The Message, songs like that that I go back to and really, really start listening to the wordplay and the topic matter and the subject matter that they was dealing with, and it makes me think of like how damn, hip hop been around like 30, 45, 40 years. You know what I mean? And it's back then we was saying the same, you know what I mean? Like
right.
The content of the
issues.
rhymes really hasn't changed, and not for a bad thing. It's just seeing that's for lack of a term I can't find, that's pretty ill. You know what I'm saying? That like, damn, the same things that we was rhyming and kicking and spitting about then, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and now to, I don't even know what the hell this is called now, 2000 teens.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what we doing now.
We got to figure it out. We got to wait till the 20s.
Future now, yeah. We're now in the future, so it's still the same type of lines. And I get the opportunity from my platform where I'm at now in my career, as well as just knowing people in the industry, is I know current and I know old. So I deal with the little Uzis and you know what I mean, people of that nature as well, and I respect what they do as artists, and I deal with Big Daddy Kane and you know what I mean, Brand Nubian on a regular basis too. Yeah. So I see both, and it's like I see that bridge, and that the lyrics really, the content is fundamentally the same. It's just served up with a different taste on it, a different flavor, a different different plate. You know what I mean? And it's up to what kind of cuisine you like.
You prefer, okay.
But Italian food is not different types of food from another planet. It's eggs, flour, tomatoes, and you give it to somebody in Mexico, and they're going whip it up, something, you know what I mean, a different form, but it's basically the same ingredients. And I look at hip hop like that, like it's the same ingredients, it's just different, different cooks.
Indeed.
I like it all. You know what I mean?
All right, that's peace. Yeah, I think Yeah, I like music and other things, and I try to. It's so much content. There's so much music available now. Sometimes I find like I just gotta, if it pop up on the waiver wire, that's my way to find something new. Because it just I can't do the thing like we our age was Tuesdays. You gotta go to the store, wait for the new stuff to come out, check the board. Oh, what's coming out next? Yeah,
it's everywhere now.
I can't keep track.
Yeah, like I said, I'm lucky. I'm in an atmosphere that I'm around youth culture, so it'll. People, hey, have you heard this? And I'm like, I don't even know, man. There's so many times, I don't front about like I know your music or I know who you are or any of that, because I'm like, my son listens to you. I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like I heard it in the other room. You know what I mean? I was over here listening to MF Doom, but I'm aware. Okay. But I met him, and it's kind of like, again, back to that genuine. I'm not fronting. I don't, hey, you listen to our music? I don't need to. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so much, I'm, Jadakiss and Davies just put an album out. I'm saying, that was for me. You know what I mean?
Right. They did that for me.
Yeah. What's the young boy, I don't even remember their names, man. But, I know one of these kids got an album out. It's pretty hot song, Mo Bamba or something like that.
Okay,
That joint go hard when I'm driving, and put that on for a hot minute. We gonna rock to that. But, he didn't make that with me in mind. He made that with his
peers in mind. His people. You know what I mean? So, and that's cool. That's all right.
That's the love of it, man. You know what I mean? I love hip hop for that purity that allow everybody to be a part of hip hop. That was what brought us to it. That it didn't matter what size you was, what color, where you was from, if you was rich, if you was poor. It was you got skills, and if you got skills at something, then come on in. You invited. You know what I mean?
Listen. Word up, boy. I appreciate you.
Even though I know I can get into a long argument about skills with people, and I'm like, you can't compare what we was doing back then. Like you said, it was harder. So we made it harder. Yeah, I just want to get real intricate real quick.
Yeah.
I have a moment.
Yeah, good man. Look, let's go.
Talking. So, this is just something that was on my mind with talking about the music. And, if you peep it now, that the artists, they rhyme on double time. They rhyme on a 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Yeah. But they don't rhyme that fast to the 1 2 1 2 1 2. They still rhyme at a slower 1 2 3 4 rhyme cadence, but over a 1 2 1 2 1 2. So it's easier. And it's really they just figured out how to ride the beat easier. Whereas we was in 1 2 3 4 era. So we had to fill all of that space with words. Because we had yet to really slow down to the 1 2 1 2, which is what now is, which is more simple. And then if you look at it, it goes even back to that's how the original hip hop was on the 1 2. You know what I mean? But then we started filling in all that space with more words and more syllables, and we got complicated in the 90s. But as they changed over, it was really the tempos changed and the rhyme flow changed to accommodate that. So less words were needed. So the lyrical intricacy changed. Yeah. Again, like I said, the content really didn't change. It's just the intricacy of the lyrics changed. We always rhymed about money. We always rhymed about getting girls and riding in nice cars, and jewelry, and
neighborhood stuff, beef with somebody.
You know what I mean? What I'm gonna be in the future, and how thorough I am than you, and you know what I mean? Like that ain't never changed. You know what I mean? So just touching on that because I like to explore it.
No, that's an important point. I think it's like when you. I think I was talking to who was I? I was talking to somebody, and I went back and listened to a couple Rakim songs, and I was like, damn, like it's like there's and G-Rap. It was G-Rap we were talking about, and you have had. It'd be 2, 3, 4 rhymes, and the rhyme, this rhyme, like the rhyme on the 2 was rhyming with the part of the 6. Yeah. But even though it wasn't a 6, the 6 was actually, was repeated at 4. But you know what I mean? Like
it was all.
It's layers. You know what I'm saying?
Haiku.
Yeah. It's like first of all, it's like what was you doing? Where one day you was like, I'm a rap like this, given the environment, right? You know what I mean? You coming in the mid '80s with the 1 and the 2, and then one day you just went. Skibbity bobbity, you put 5, 7 different patterns on. Like it's amazing, and is good for everybody, not even just on like curmudgeon old man move. Like you need to go listen to the old hip hop. Like no, you should hear it and just think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the same thing I would say. You need to listen to different music. You know what I mean? If you when we was,
it make you a better artist. Maybe open it up because most other genres do that. You know what I mean? If it's a guitarist, whatever they play in a rock band or a folk band, they go and they study the legendary guitarists and learn their riffs and learn how to play what they was playing so that they can integrate it in their music.
Yeah,
and
you know, like, you pull an element.
Hip hop fundamentally does that, but doesn't like to accredit it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like you're still sampling. I don't care if you say, "Well, we ain't sampling."
We played this and we ran it through
the drum hit or whatever. You know what I mean? And even the pattern of the one, that, you know what I mean, or the double tom snare hit, like that's Pete Rock. And that's what you know what I mean. Like that's what they laid down. Q-Tip and all you got. They laid that pattern down.
Yeah.
You know, not that they got it. That's the other part. I don't see anybody having to give credit either. That's the other part. Nobody should be. I need my credit. Like, come on, man, you don't own the snare.
Right.
Great, you know, all good to you put it together right, but you know,
it's cool.
It's cool, man. You know what I mean?
Take it as an homage it's in there. You know what I mean? That's your influence.
Sample Smokey.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? So,
and whoever it is,
that's my mic. It's nothing new under the sun.
Right, whoever the session drummer that was in there that day.
Yeah, I'm sure he's pissed off all together.
Nobody knows me.
That's my goddamn snare. It really is my snare. I bought the drum.
Brother, it's right there in the garage. That's my stuff. You know what I mean? Like, but that's that's that deeper level. Yeah. Word, I appreciate it, man. All right, well, I'm not gonna hold you all morning, and
no, I appreciate you coming to ask the old head.
This has been a pleasure, man. I really appreciate it, man.
It's a good conversation, man.
Anything for the good of the order before I tap us out?
Nah, just saying peace to all the civilized people, all the righteous people in the universe. Definitely want to make sure everybody just be the best of who you can be and be yourself and be true to yourself. You know what I mean? Everybody gonna accept you better for that. That's why we're individuals. We weren't all born at the same time. So you was born to be you.
Indeed. Well, Divine Universal. Peace, God.
Peace.
All right. This has been the Ask Your Old Head podcast with Justice Rajee. Thank you for listening. Peace.